Hi everybody, I'm sayakatcosplay, and today's video is all about how to repaint a pre-made prop sword. This is actually a martial arts sword, practice sword. It's a rubber sword. So I'm going to show you how to paint something that you might already have or you might just want to buy and make it into a prop for your character. So this is now painted to be like Carmilla's sword from season 4. When I started making Carmilla, I didn't actually, there were no like references that I could find really of her sword. It was hard to find like what it looked like. So I decided I was gonna take the easy route and just buy a sword. So I'm gonna link where you can buy this down below. It's off Amazon. I think it was like $17 to buy this rubber sword. So I'm gonna show you the process that I went through for painting this and how you can paint something like this to be an easy paint build. This thing is really nice and sturdy. I decided I just didn't want to make it out of foam. I didn't feel like building it. $17 sounds like a good trade-off for not building it. So this actually started off as a black rubber base, and then I put stuff on it. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. First step in prepping your sword for paint, I learned the hard way. Paint will not just stick to it. I tried doing that just to see if it would, and it doesn't. So I recommend lightly sanding the shininess off the rubber so that the rubber has a little bit more surface area, it's a little bit rougher. I mean, you're not gonna be able to tell on the finished thing that you sanded it, but it just kind of makes it a little bit rougher so that your primer can stick better. And I would recommend priming this with Plastidip. Plastidip is a rubber-based primer, so rubber is going to stick to rubber. If you have something that's plastic or rubber, you will need to prime it still. The paint will not just stick to it very easily. So I didn't film the Plastidipping and the sanding, but you will need to do that before you paint. Paint, 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 paint. I'm using mostly airbrush paints. I will link all the paints that I used in the description box down below. The first step in painting after doing your primering and sanding is to base everything out in white. This is going to make it easier to paint the red later. Painting red over black is going to be a little bit more difficult. The coverage isn't going to look as good, so I'm painting white on both sides first. Make sure to wear a mask or work in a well-ventilated area when airbrushing, or make sure that you have some sort of ventilation going on if you're working in a paint booth, because the overspray can get up your nose, so wear a mask. And also, yes, I'm aware there's a toilet in the back of most of my shots. Just ignore it. Ooh, look at that, a nicely white blade. Yes. So it's on to the next step, which is masking. Make sure you do this after the paint has dried. No, I don't know from experience. Carmilla's sword has gold details in and around the hilt region, so I decided to mask off and prevent the red from depositing on certain parts because I'm going to be using a red metallic, and painting over metallic paints can be difficult. Using red as a base for gold is actually not a terrible idea, but this would also help me figure out where things were going, what the shapes were, etc. So I decided to mask off. I'm not doing the cleanest masking. I got a lot of overspray. That's okay. It just makes it a little bit easier and cleaner for me to do the gold later. And here's the point at which I realized, oh yeah, I need to mask within the point of masking, not outside. So rip it off and do it again. Before I do the red metallic, I'm laying down a base of just red on the hilt and the blade. This is going to be a nice base for our red metallic that I'm going to put down after this. The red metallic does have a lot of pigmentation, but I'm just covering my bases and making sure that there's a nice red base underneath the metallic so that there's no white that shows through and there's no spotting or streaking or any unevenness in the paint when I go to do the metallic over the red. Time for the red metallic, and I don't know why my camera decided to focus weird. Okay, there it goes. I'm using Jacquard red metallic that I got for my Unit 2, and I had a little bit left over, so I was like, YOLO, let's make this metallic. I actually cut out the footage of me making the blade a little bit darker because in the end, it actually didn't matter because this is so pigmented that it just, I didn't need to make the blade darker. In the art, her handle is like a brighter red than the sword blade, which is a little bit of a darker red. I was trying to do that, but it ended up not working out. It's fine. Live and learn. But anyway, I put the red metallic down on the blade, waited for the first side to dry, then did the second side, and then did any touch-ups that I needed to in case I had messed up the paint, which I of course did because I'm impatient and move things around too quickly. Once you're done with all that red, it's time to take off the masking and do the gold. Now I'm going to do the gold by hand because I don't have any gold airbrush paint, and yeah, this is way easier for me just to put the gold on by hand and then do the little bits of detailing that I need to do. I'm using a heavy body gold from Golden. If you're going to be painting metallics, I do recommend using like heavy body paints or even like Rub and Buff, which is a wax-based depositor. Gonna make painting metallics so much faster because they're so much more heavily pigmented. You only need to do, like, I did 2 layers of the gold and it was totally opaque, no streaking. A lot of golds and silvers require a lot of layers when you're painting them, and the heavy body paints tend to deposit enough pigment that you don't need a lot of paint. Of course, these paints are way more expensive, but worth. Anyway, I painted all the gold on, and then I did the detail lines in black, and that's pretty much it. If you want to seal this, you can use Mod Podge sealing spray or a sealing spray in a can. You can do a brush-on sealer. I don't know why most of this footage is out of focus, but whatever. Finishing this up is really simple and easy, and it's really not that difficult of a paint job. Most of it is in the prep of the sword to get it ready for paint, because otherwise the paint doesn't stick to it. So make sure you sand and plasti dip. I already mentioned that at the beginning, but I'm going to mention it again at the end, because don't be like me and just assume paint will stick to stuff. Bad me. Bad assumption. Okay, here's outro me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope today's video was helpful in your endeavors to paint things to look like props. If you have any additional questions about the process, or want to see me do more paint prop, or want to see me paint more stuff, paint more props, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Push you down, because you're still drying.